And now we will go to roll call.
Gershenson. Here. Nelson.
Present.
Cavell.
Here.
Erickson Gall.
Here.
Taylor. She's here somewhere. Joliet.
Here.
Powell.
Here.
Gingell's absent with notice. Lukes.
Here.
You have 4.
Thank you. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hi. First item is approving the minutes from November 12th. Luke, is there anybody who'd like? I have a motion by Commissioner Erickson Galton, support from Commissioner Joliet. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our minutes are approved. Next is approving the agenda. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson and support from Commissioner Joliet. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our agenda is approved. We've arrived at our first public comment. Public comment is for items on this agenda. We have another public comment at the end. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Communications is next. There are 6 items under communications. This is our largest item today, our number of items under communications. So we have 2 grant amendments. The first is for the fiscal year 2025 emerging threats from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. Also from Health and Human Services is another grant amendment for fiscal year 2025 local health department comprehensive agreement. We have a grant application to the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the Children's Special Health Care Services Family Youth Engagement Program. We have 2 reports, the first from our Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption and the second from Oakland Community Health Network Grant Projects Report. And the last item is a grant acceptance from the State Court Administrative Office for the fiscal year 2025 52nd 3rd District Court in Rochester Hills, their drug court grant. Are there any comments or questions regarding communications, or would someone like to make a motion to receive and file? Commissioner Taylor? Receive and file. Thank you. Commissioner Powell supports. Thank you. All in favor of receiving communications say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, our first regular agenda item is from Health and Human Services. There are 2 items. They're both grant acceptances. The first from the Michigan Fitness Foundation for the 2025 Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And the second is from the Department of Housing for the fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant. Would someone like to make a motion? I have a motion by Commissioner Cavell and support from Commissioner Taylor. And who do we have? Do we have Leanne? Here. We have Shane.
Shane at Division.
All right. Shane, do you want to talk about the Community Development Block Grant Program?
That will not be me, but I'm happy to talk about the SNAP-PED acceptance funding.
Oh, that's first. That makes sense. Thank you.
So the SNAP-PED, we're accepting $42,000. That's a continuation of the funds that we've been receiving since 2014. And it is to continue programs in the city of Pontiac. And we are looking to expand into Oak Park this year. And that is going to continue to support nutrition programs for both youth and, importantly, older adults. And this funding will continue to support a special revenue part-time position to help administer those programs. I'll pause there if there are any specific questions.
No, we're not. Or Andrea, are we still streaming?
Yeah,
Oh.
he says he's
Oh,
recovering.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, okay, here we go,
Okay.
here we go.
Thank
There
you.
you are.
Thank you. Shane, I just asked if there were, and you just asked if there were any questions or comments for you regarding the SNAP program. Do commissioners have any questions or comments? Nope, thank you. All right, Khadijah, what do you want us to know about the community development block grant information?
Yes, good morning. So we received our grant award from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for our community development block grant for the program year 2024 in the amount of $3,645,249. So I'd like to request acceptance of this grant to provide additional services to the 52 communities that we serve through this grant. We use it for home improvement program, we use it for housing counseling. It does fund 24 special revenue positions with no changes from prior years. And then we are estimating revolving loan at about $1 million as well. And so we're excited to continue great services under this community development block grant.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thanks.
Commissioners, questions?
I have a question.
Sure, Commissioner Taylor?
Thank you. Khadijah, is this based for the for the recipients on their income? Is it income-based, the requirement?
Yes.
For certain aspects of the program, yes. So like home improvement, the home improvement components are income qualified components, and then some of the projects would be completed in census tracts where it's income qualified.
So it's over a
And
certain,
there's some projects that serve the greater good, like a park or, playground equipment.
okay. I'll reach out to you later. I had some seniors that was asking, that's why I'm asking you.
We definitely serve a lot of seniors who income qualify, and tends to be one of the larger populations that takes advantage of our home improvement program. So please reach out to our offices on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, would you prompt the vote on the health and human services items? Prompted that before I finished talking. It was amazing.
You have 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next 3 items are Sheriff's Office recommendations. There are 3 agreements. The first is an agreement with Oakland County Health Network for the Behavioral Threat Assessment Grant Program. The second is a grant acceptance from the Transportation Improvement Association for the 2025 Traffic Safety Enforcement Program. And the last item is an acceptance from the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation of the rescue equipment. I have a motion by Commissioner Joliet, support from Commissioner Nelson. And before we begin on these items, I want to acknowledge our Under Sheriff Child's dedication and service to Oakland County. He did resign with his last day effective yesterday, and I certainly appreciate all of his work, his enthusiasm, his perseverance, and the empathy he has provided to not only us, but residents in Oakland County and staff. So if you're watching, thank you.
Thank you for that. So yes, that's why I have the whole team here today, because obviously he's not here and it takes a lot of people to fill his shoes. So we appreciate that, and we share the sentiments, and we're at a little bit of a loss right now. So we're all just filling in right now until the replacement is named. So I have Major Perry with me. He oversees the corrections side of the Sheriff's Office, Captain Hill and Callie, who oversee training and obviously the Comfort K-9 program. And then obviously you all know Tom Hardesty from Emergency Management. So the first item is a new program, grant funding of $320,755. It's an interlocal agreement with OCHN. It will also create positions in the Sheriff's Office and in Emergency Management. And then they are here to answer any questions on the specifics of what this new program is going to cover.
So I have a question. It's for a staff position, and is it a mental health worker that fills another position?
It's a sergeant and then a coordinator position, I think, in
A
your area, so.
coordinator, okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding this item? All right, next item.
Okay, the next one is our annual grant acceptance from the Traffic Improvement Association. It's for overtime for patrols related to distracted driving, OWI, safety belt usage and speed. The total of this grant is $65,429.69.
Thank you.
And then the last item, I have Captain Wilson, who oversees patrol services, and Lieutenant Burwell, who oversees search and rescue. I know you've heard his name a lot with Marine, and anyway, this is a new donation that we're getting from, proposed to get from the Detroit Athletic Club in the amount of $100,000 for search and rescue equipment. And Lieutenant Burwell can answer any questions if you have questions on the specific equipment.
Is this a new grant?
Yes, well, it's a donation, so we haven't,
No,
yeah, so they're proposing to donate this list of equipment to the search and rescue team. And so once it's approved by the board, then they'll go ahead and acquire it and donate it to us.
That is impressive. Commissioner Gershenson?
I'm just wondering if there's a little history you wanna give us a little back.
Oh,
Lieutenant Burwell,
He was the tip of the spear on the project, so.
so,
As far as the, you wanna know about the Detroit Athletic Club? So they formed a board called the Chiefs Committee, and what they're looking to do is reach out to local projects, being in the Tri-County area, City of Detroit, Wayne County, Oakland County, Macomb, in those areas, and they made contact with search and rescue team. We obviously assist many communities while with providing service to our own residents, and they contacted us about some of our needs. We certainly have needs that we bring forward to the board. We also search out grants to try to offset those needs. So when we gave some of the equipment we need to replace or update, they were willing to step in with a donation.
Amazing, that's great.
Commissioner Cavell?
Why is it that they contacted you or the sheriff's office as opposed to other communities?
So the Chiefs Board is set up with the thought of reaching out to as many law enforcement agencies as you can. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office currently coordinates the Southeast Michigan Dive Group. We're the largest dive consortium in the country. We are the only group represented in 3 states, Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. 30 agencies comprise of that group, 334 divers, 200 support personnel. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office handles the administration of that group and has all the contacts with it. So if there's a call out, let's say in Macomb County, their dive commander would notify us. We would then activate a response to assist with coordination. We work very closely with Wayne County, Detroit's in our group. Calhoun County, the group goes as far south as to Steuben County, Indiana. We go as far north as Midland Bay, and we go now into Defiance County, Ohio. So all those agencies are coordinated through us. So when they heard about the group, we've also been involved with several high-profile cases with missing children. In particular, one of the ones was recently in Detroit of a missing 16-year-old girl. Our agency assisted with different assets, and through those contacts, they came to Oakland County with some of the needs we would have.
So you're saying from like news reports, they heard about it?
They hear on news reports, and they're also actively involved with other police agencies in the Tri-County area. And they were looking for more of a contact with the bigger group.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, so.
So out of the $210 million sheriff's budget, why not use part of that to pay for these things? Because what I'm skeptical of is, this just reminds me of like Mission Oakland stuff. It just feels like, even though we're here at this table being transparent, it feels like the inertia of this is so led by not transparent means. Maybe it's not bad, right? But just like, why does a private, an athletic club that costs $15,000 a year to be a member at, want to give us, a government, money through a second foundation, the Detroit Public Safety Foundation? So the Detroit Athletic Club giving Detroit Public Safety Foundation money to then give to us when we have $210 million going towards you. It feels suspicious, so if you can elucidate me to
Yeah,
why that would be, as
So,
opposed to using your budget just transparently right off rip, because you're missing RFP processes, bids, all that sort of stuff, DEI components, so,
so how,
yeah.
the Chiefs table is part of, so you have the Detroit Athletic Club.
Yeah.
Within that group, they have wanted to form something to assist the community, so they form what's called the Chiefs table.
Yeah.
And that is within their organization. They seek out different projects. They funded projects for the city of Detroit, Wayne County, and other stuff. So when they did contact us and ask what our needs are, we provide them. I don't know if it would be how you tell a private business what they can and can't donate to a search and rescue team. And I think there are numbers coincide. When you look at right now, 50% of our search and rescue callouts right now, 53% deal with lost persons, vulnerable adult, vulnerable children and things like that. And I think they recognize that the taxpayers only have so much money that they can put towards projects, and there's many good projects within the sheriff's office as well as in the county. And I think this group recognizes the work our search and rescue team does. We're coming off a record year with water rescues and drownings. We had 16 drownings in our county, 12 of which were in lakes. I think we had 114 callouts just for our search and rescue team, and our southeast dive team is at 262 activations. So I believe what their thought was is they wanted to get behind an organization. One, I think Oakland County is very fiscally responsible, and I think with any grants, they want to make sure their money is going to be used correctly. And I think they want to see those needs go to where the money is intended for. So that is, I think, ultimately when they contacted us of what our needs would be and how would be best serving the community was their donation.
So, but you said you're the largest dive team in America or something?
Largest consortium, but that's each agency putting in. There's not federal and state funding that comes to us.
Sure, right.
So,
But you're the largest consortium in the country.
in the country.
And you are adequately equipped to be able to do your job.
We
Of course
have,
you could do more and
we
want to
always
do
can
more.
do more, but we have rescue needs. Like I just was in a meeting with Michigan State Police yesterday.
Sure.
And, Michigan State Police talks about their needs, which is funny, you listen to the state talk about needs, but they have needs that they have, and like any agency does. I mean, any fire agency will tell you
Yeah.
wants versus needs, so.
Right. Well, I appreciate what you said, but that doesn't convince me as to why we should have these like third parties donating to, again, the largest line item in our budget, $210 million, when you are also part of the largest consortium in the country for this sort of work. And it's $100,000, right? If it was like $5 million, it's like, oh, okay, we are missing something. This is $100,000 for your $210 million budget. That feels, that's office supplies for the sheriff. So
Not
this
necessarily,
feels, well, hold on. So I'm just saying, I don't get it, especially when we're talking about drones, which there's Supreme Court cases that talk about invasion of privacy, and we don't have a solid policy on that, which then exposes us to risk and liability. I don't like this, and maybe it's all up above board and it's all great and like there's good intentions, right? I know there are absolute good intentions with what you're doing, but from our perspective in protecting taxpayer money and what we use our taxes for to support our government, like you all, I don't see why this is something you couldn't just buy. So I don't get it and I don't like it. So I'm no.
Because our budget in general, we have competing priorities, as you know.
Sure.
The bottom line that you see increasing is typically for salaries, fringes, and internal services, which we
Sure.
have basically no control over. That's voted
Sure.
on by the board.
Sure.
Our operating budget has not increased. So we are, if we have expanded programs like search and rescue has expanded, we don't have a set budget for search and rescue. So I'm moving things around. We're looking at what we can do, if we can cut from one area, if we can put a project off until next year to fund something. So this helps us because we don't have a budget set for that.
Sure.
So it's not out of that 210 million. Our operating budget, if you look at that section, is a lot more limited, and that's our discretionary funding, if you will. Obviously,
Sure.
we have a lot of contracts that are tied to that too,
Sure.
that we have to pay for. So when you take out jail, jail healthcare and jail food and tasers and body worn cameras and the major line items, there's a small amount left for us to purchase anything like
Sure.
this. So we have these needs,
Sure.
wants, that can help assist these critical programs that we don't have budgeted, so.
Sure. But now that's interesting because in your budget, you talk to the CFO, the deputy CFO, the county executive team for months and months and months. Your whole job, Gia, is to work on creating budgets that are accurate and reflect your needs of your team. So you not getting that, I feel is like, that's a false argument. And also you do increase your discretionary spending. We just did that 2 weeks ago when we raised the law enforcement contracts so that deputies could get what they need. And also these new uniforms that are all black, you just got more money for that, right? Like you do get the money you ask for, either through the budget process or from coming to us. So going through a third party and a series of 501c3s just doesn't smell right to me. And that's that. I'm voting no.
Thank you. Thank you. I am grateful for the Tri-County collaboration and the work that you do. I understand the argument that grants and donations allow us to do more with what we have. I hear a bias from Commissioner Cavell because of the name Detroit Athletic Club comes up. I would not see a bias. I think it's the same as a bank or a credit union donating to a food bank. And this is the Detroit Athletic Club Foundation. So it's a foundation that raises money that's their decision to give to a group that they consider of value for that. So I understand once we vote, we'll vote on the first two items together and take the third item off. Commissioner Erickson Galt.
Thank you, Chair. I'm generally in favor of this item. I just had one question. The drones, will they be limited to use only for rescue operations or they will be used for general law
So
enforcement?
these drones are mission specific. Now, right now on our call outs, we're averaging about 23% of our drone call outs are based on search and rescue for missing persons. So when we deploy, and I use the example of Highland Rec, or we had one recently in the city of Pontiac, where everything we do in search and rescue is based on time. Victims don't pick when they're getting lost, stuck, or hurt. So oftentimes when someone recognizes a loved one has went out of a house, whether it's a vulnerable adult, vulnerable child, memory care needs, autism, there is a lag before the sheriff's office may be summoned or rescue personnel. Those people are covering a lot of ground. With memory care needs, you move until they just dehydrate. So what these drones have given us the ability to do is these are all weather drones, so they can fly in most, unless it's an extreme snowstorm, we can get them up because they're weather resistant. In the wintertime, these drones have to be cycled out. One of the things that we're striving to move towards is as we have one drone up searching an area and as the batteries are becoming low, as that drone is inbound, we have a second drone already on deck continuing with that search. You look at temperatures we're facing right now, and typically if we go out, you're dressed appropriate for the weather. With memory care needs people, they just walk out the door. So these drones are very specific to our search and rescue. Now there could come a situation where there's a law enforcement emergency and that drone would have to be pulled for it. But these drones are going to be for our search and rescue team to look for lost children, vulnerable adults. And also, we do a thing with our divers in the water. If our search and rescue personnel are working in a river, we do put the drones overhead of us to watch our people in the water and keep an eye on them. If a diver is in a distress or things like that, we can readily identify it. So they will be used in conjunction with our whole full search and rescue team.
So if I understand correctly, you do have other drones that could be used for law enforcement.
Those would be the
purposes,
smaller tells, yes.
or could also be used for search and rescue.
We do
also.
put those up. The limitation on the smaller ones are they're not, if it's raining really hard, those are not weather resistant drones, so they're not able to do the same capabilities and they don't fly as long. So these have about 45-minute time in the air and obviously coverage, tree cover, foliage and stuff will interfere with thermal imaging and then we can redirect. One of the programs we use that you're probably not familiar with is SARS-TOPO. SARS-TOPO is nationwide used by most search and rescue teams. As we identify an area where someone is lost, we come up with a high probability of where they're at and where they're not. One of the things the computer will tell us is, hey, this area here, you're gonna have the best success with air assets. This area here is not gonna be so successful. And we can direct our ground units, which may be on foot or ATVs to those areas. And then we can focus in on, hey, there's not a lot of tree cover in this area. We can possibly spot this person quicker. So those are all programs that we have. And our search and rescue team, again, we work with multiple agencies, but there is not an individual funding that funds all our teams. It's each officer's coming together and helping each other out as a community.
Thank you.
Commissioner Joliet.
I want to thank you for bringing this to our attention, and obviously the safety of the citizens of Oakland County, especially missing persons, is paramount. I'm coming from local. Safety or public safety was our #1 priority, was protecting the citizens, so I appreciate that. And I'm confident that other departments were included on this so that the money is vetted properly that's coming in. So I support this. Thank you.
Thank you. And Commissioner Cavalli, we do have a drone policy. I remember under Sheriff sending that out a few months ago by email. Commissioner Powell first.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to piggyback on your comments about Under Sheriff Child. Sorry, this is kind of off record. I just wanted to say on record, I did call him, talk to him, tell him thank you for his service and everything with us. But I also wanted to point out, from a historical standpoint and a relationship from a cultural standpoint as a Black woman, as a Black leader, and my relationship with the sheriffs to keep that strong and transparent. Under Sheriff Childs did that. He made that feel seamless, trustworthy, and we did have some conversations that I felt he took a stance on the sheriff's side to just have an honest conversation with me. And I just want to thank him for that. I'm hoping and praying that from a cultural perspective, we bring some more individuals like himself to the sheriff department, and just thank him. And I'm gonna miss him dearly, because he made, between him and, what was the other guy we had? McCabe. I take Under Sheriff Childs all day, and I'm gonna say it on record. That's my opinion. So with that being said, thank you, Sheriff Childs, thank you. And that's all I had to say. Sorry, I just didn't want to forget. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cavalli.
Yeah, just 2 quick points. We do have a drone policy, but from talking with people legally about it, it does not stand up to muster and could put us at legal liability, because it's a few bullet points, which is a nice statement of values, but it is not a effective drone policy. Also, we need a drone policy for the county, because the sheriff isn't the only unit that uses drones, right? Like the treasurer can use drones for tax assessing purposes or equalization, right? So the drone policy is not just the sheriff using it for review. And we could use other examples like Grand Rapids, what they do, which actually
I think we could
stands
get a
up to muster.
corporate council opinion regarding
Right,
the
I've
drone
talked to them and I'm
policy.
working on a drone policy with them about that for the county, which is doing that because we don't have an effective drone policy, which is another reason why I'm skeptical
Like all
of this.
commissioners to be aware of that.
Yes.
So we'll look at corporate council.
And then the second thing is, you're right, this is different than a food bank because food banks don't get $210 million a year to adequately fund their services. That's all.
Commissioner Powell.
One more thing in regards to this grant, I do understand where my colleague is, Mr. Cavell. However, any organization or foundation or anything trying to give anybody any money, I'm up for it. And that's because I come from a community that we are scrambling to get some help. So, but I do understand where you're coming from, sir, but I will be a yes vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would you prompt the vote on 9A and B, please?
Eight yeas, 0 nays.
Those 2 items carry. Would you prompt the vote on 9C, please?
Seven yeas, 1 nay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Nice seeing you. I'm sorry, Gay, I do have a question. So what's the process for appointing or hiring another undersheriff?
Oh, yeah.
I wish I knew. We're all patiently waiting and we can't wait to hear the news, so.
The sheriff will make that decision, and
Is there a timeline as to when he do it? No. Well, I heard some names, but I'm gonna keep that to myself.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we've arrived at public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? If so, state your name and community you're from, and you have 3 minutes.
This December, like you said.
Just look at this going, I have my camera.
Hi, everybody, it's Jody White.
Answer that's December in the calendar. Oh, my bad.
Oh, no, you guys, I complimented the first group and I'm gonna compliment this group. What you guys are doing, I loved your questions. It was beautiful. But I love what these sheriffs are doing because that's exactly what I work with is the vulnerable and the ones that are mentally challenged. And we do need more help. So the fact that they're funding, we're wondering who's helping with the situations in probate court. But my name is Jody White, and I'm from Wayne County, but I have been an advocate for probate court and the vulnerable and the people that are being abused by the system. And so, I see where you're coming with some of your issues with the finances, and our concern is how the court is using their funding with probate court. And one of the commissioners, when I left, made a comment about the reputation of Oakland County Probate Court. And even the fact that one of our judges just got removed, a couple months ago, it's kind of embarrassing. And the administrator, and I don't want to name names because they have roles that are supposed to be very important. And the role of that administrator is to help the people when there's a complaint or a problem. And then he calls and gets help. And all of us citizens that have been in probate court in Oakland County, we're still sitting there not being helped. So like I told earlier, and I recognize a few of the faces, we've been in probate court since 2012, and we finally had our jury trial last week. I was supposed to speak, but you guys were busy with the sheriff. And the verdict came back guilty. So I have a brother-in-law that is now guilty of a co-trustee crime of racketeering, embezzling, and not paying their taxes. The Attorney General was involved. It was a 12-year situation. 26 minutes, the jury came back with guilty. The problem is there is a list of names that Oakland County has that exclusively uses certain attorneys, and this particular attorney has been on the list forever. He was removed from the state list from the Attorney General as a public county administrator, 4 of them from here. It was August of 2019. They were removed. And you can go up and see the list. I don't want to get in trouble for slander, but this is all of public knowledge. And my concern at this point is because one co-trustee is now looking at 3 years to 30 years, and we were promised a special fiduciary to watch over what happened. Our family owns the old winery building on Grand River and Orchard Lake. Have you seen it lately? And it's because we've had this special fiduciary on our family asset since 2012. It is now 2024. The other co-trustee got convicted. He is now a criminal. He will be, like I said, he'll be sentenced in January. We're wondering why the other co-trustee, the attorney, is not being looked into it. And he's not only the co-trustee, but he was the special fiduciary beforehand, and then he was also the personal representative, which was there's all these people that are put into place to kind of watch. But if it's the same person, no one's babysitting him. But my husband and I, Jeff White, and myself, Jody White, and I'll make it quick. We were the ones looking at it. We ended up purchasing with the Court of Appeals a Court of Appeals, and on September 13th, 2018, we won our Court of Appeals. That there was an error made in probate court with Judge O'Brien, and that was the day that the sheriffs harmed me in the hallway. And I don't know who all knows the story, but it was out there that I was a state rep candidate and was assaulted by one of these sheriffs, and they stole all the cameras. So we're gonna continue to fight, one, to clear my name because I'm not a felon. My brother-in-law is the felon. He did something wrong. If I just have one more second, please. If you don't mind, I was supposed to tell you guys all this at the last meeting, but you guys keep taking everybody else, so is there a way you can shut that off? It's really kind of triggering me.
Well, your 3 minutes are up, so thank you very much.
So if anybody would like to care about my topic, it is your guys' courthouse. That man that sat up here and talked about it's a contractor position because the Oakland County courts come and sit in your building, in your venue, and represent your county. And I'm from Wayne County, and I don't like what's going on in Oakland County because My brother-in-law is now the convicted felon, and nobody seems to care what's going on up there with what's happening. And if it ever happens to any of your family, we are called the VIPs, Victims in Probate, and we will be there for you also. And one last thing, because it was also in the last meeting, Lisa Brown is the clerk, and she has funding over there for the e-filing. And, I guess you guys are getting money to fund that. I wanna thank you for that, because I sit in there and I do a lot of research, and they're helping a lot of people, but you also need a probate section there to help the probate people. Because we don't need these attorneys that like to make money off of harming family members. And so I will be back every 2 weeks to keep telling you guys a little bit more about our stories, because we find that you don't really know what's going on. So
Thank
again, I
you.
appreciate the extra minute. I
Thank you.
appreciate, and thank you again
Extra
for
couple
what you guys
minutes.
Ma'am, with all due respect, my brother-in-law is looking at 30 years in jail, and he had an attorney that's on your exclusive list that should have been protecting our family. So if there's any way as a commission, you guys are looking at policies and procedures, please look into that. Thank you. So it was another 30 seconds.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
I just had one closing comment. Overall, just to piggyback on our probate court, me and Spears went to talk to them years ago, and I'm just gonna lead us at this, lead us here. Some investigations need to happen, and I was on record saying, even with Ryan being removed, that anybody of color or LBGTQ, if you were in her chamber, you need to go get your case relooked at. And so with that being said, I've always had my concerns with probate, because if you all remember when we first got on, they were here every meeting. Now they're back, and I think the time is good that they're back, especially after Ryan, but all of this needs to be looked into. Our probate has been on alert for a very long time. They have people in place, I think, to keep us blocked from what we can do as commissioners. I know we limited in what we can do, but I wanted to say that and go on a record that I've always had my suspicion about our probate court. Some of the judges, not all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, I think we all agree with that comment.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't want to bring this up during the sheriff's discussions because it's not specific to any item we saw today. But one of the things, sitting on this committee now, I think 6 years, one of the things that I think would be wise as we move into the next term is to really take a look at when things are donated. And this could be any department, right? Any department. But when items are donated, we tend to be excited on what's being donated and, how it can add to what we already have, right? But at the end of the day, we tend to not talk about the costs of those items, right? And so, we could specifically talk about with our drones, right? There's maintenance costs. But I want to make sure that as we are moving forward, especially as into our next term, that maybe we can have some further discussions specifically about how we can make sure and work alongside any department who is coming forward with having the board accept donations to maybe before we look at accepting, does the department have a plan on how they're going to pay for these additional costs, maintenance, whatever it might be? I don't want to steal any thunder from any items today, but I also think it's worthy of discussion because we all know as we're moving forward, there's going to be some more difficult conversations that we're going to have when it does come to finances and things like that. I think it would be very smart for this committee to really take a look at what we could do to help assist our departments in making sure that they have the funds needed and required to maintain the items that we're accepting as donations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Powell?
I forgot I was gonna say, but I support what Kristen is looking into because I didn't even think of that. The trailer, the drones. Well, I don't know about aviation, but I know the trailer and the drones would have some maintenance to it. And then we then gotta cost.
Therapy dogs.
That is not, that is not incorporated into their overall budget moving forward. So I think that'd be great to look at. great
They're not
suggestion.
the only department, yeah, that gets.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
all
and they're
the-
not,
yeah,
and that's
no,
why
no,
I didn't wanna
no,
bring
no,
it
no.
up
Right,
specifically, right?
Right,
Because it's
yeah.
all departments, you know,
Yeah.
it's great that we're getting these opportunities to take items, but
Yeah, cause I mean, let's go back to the dogs.
I'm gonna
Remember?
return to public comment. We're still in.
oh, I'm sorry, Madam
Oh,
Chair, I thought we were
sorry,
in
sorry.
additional other business.
Sorry, I thought
I
it was other business
apologize.
too. Sorry.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to comment? All right, seeing none, public comment is closed, so back to other business.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the therapy dog thing, remember we getting all the dogs and then, woo, we see this bill talking about how they gotta be taken care of and this, third, the other, and we was like, wait a minute here. So, yes, I think that that goes in support of what Nelson is asking for us moving forward to look at in addition to any other donations we take.
Indirect costs.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Oh, no, not
All right, anything else? Okay, this Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is adjourned at 11:41. Thank you.
I need it.
Nice.